Good evening to everyone in Alberta, Canada, and beyond. It is Wednesday, May 22nd, 2024, and I'm Kerry Lambert, and I welcome you to an online webinar evening of Solutions for New Alberta brought to you by the Alberta Prosperity Project, also known as APP. APP's purpose is to educate, inspire, and unite all Albertans, businesses, and organizations to protect their prosperity, individual freedoms, rights, and self-determination by empowering the Alberta government to restructure Alberta's relationship within or without Canada. And of course, we wouldn't be able to do this without your help. If you can, please share this webinar on various social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, LinkedIn, Rumble, but you can still share to other social like Telegrams, Threads, etc. As well as after this live, we're also on other video and audio sites like Apple, Spotify, BitChute, and Vimeo. These webinars do take time and effort, and we're happy to have sponsors for our webinars. If you'd like to sponsor an upcoming webinar, you can get in contact with us at contact@Alberta Prosperity Project or contact at albertaprosperity.com, which is also on the top of our page, albertaprosperityproject.com website. Tonight's sponsor is Solve Energy. The switch to solar power is happening now across Western Canada and globally. Take advantage of up to $5,600 in grants for homeowners and a 30% tax credit for businesses. Join the movement by generating clean, renewable electricity from the sun. Solve Energy is Western Canada's top trusted installer. And allow me to play their video.
At Solve, we're not just a company, we're a solar revolution. With years of experience, we've harnessed the sun's energy to make a positive impact on our planet and your wallet. Our cutting-edge installation process and sustainable solutions empower you to harness the sun's limitless potential, reducing your energy bills. You may be wondering, do I get enough sun for solar panels? Well, fear not. Our experts can evaluate your location and tell you if it's solar friendly. We use multiple technologies that allow us to accurately determine if your roof is a good fit for solar. How can I go solar for no money down? What are the qualifications of that? Don't worry, we are here to help. Our team at Solve handles the entire process from start to finish, so you won't have to deal with those headaches that come with permitting, design, engineering, or dealing with the utility company. Feel free to reach out to our team at Solve.
And of course, to find out more, go to their website at solveenergy.ca or send an email to info@solveenergy.ca. APP is membership driven with a goal of 1 million plus members to help steer the political process. And of course, you can find out more by going to our amazing new website, the albertaprosperityproject.com, where you can find everything that you want to know all about the Alberta Prosperity Project, as well as independence and self-determination. It's amazing. There's so much information in here, and we are updating it daily. There is our pillars of information, of course, referendum. If you want to click on there, you can find out how to sign up for the referendum for your intent to vote yes in a referendum on Alberta's independence. Go there, as well as find out about taxation, pension, policing, immigration, and employment insurance. Of course, taxation and pension is kind of what we're going to be talking a little bit about tonight. Definitely about pension for sure. So that's a great place to go, as well as we have lots of things to look at in terms of events as well. You can go on and click on the upcoming events, find out a little bit more what's going on in chapters, as well as we've got our annual meeting as well on June 1st in New Sarepta, and we're going to be doing a silent auction there. We've got Jonathan Baines, who's our new CEO, is going to be there. Chris Scott, Dennis Modry, and Michael Wagner is a keynote speaker, as well as yours truly will be there doing the MC duties and then spinning some tunes after as well. So it'll be a great time to get out there, talk to like-minded folk, and find out about independence and what we can do about that. We also have, what else have we got on here? There's lots of stuff on this website. We have, actually, one thing that I did want to bring up, I'm just going to go back on here a bit. One thing I did want to bring up is last week we had our door knocking campaign, and of course we talked about that with Jonathan Baines, and we basically want to do a door knocking campaign to get the word out and get contact information for the referendum on independence. But we're also looking to put tables at trade shows. We're looking at doing events and putting tables at trade shows. So the APP's Ambassador Committee is hard at work garnering registrations for the intent to vote yes for Alberta's independence. As part of this initiative, they would like to attend 4 trade shows over the next few months to help spread awareness and collect registrations for the intent to vote yes. But these shows take not only volunteers, but money as well. So they're asking for sponsorship. If you are able to sponsor just $50 towards just one of these shows, you can help make it possible, and you can get some recognition and acknowledgement for yourself or your company. And if you are interested in sponsoring, please contact, I'll put that up here, D. Berard at albertaprosperity.com. That's D as in Don, Berard as in the dog St. Bernard, but without the N, at albertaprosperity.com. I didn't write that. She told me to say that. So it's D. Berard at albertaprosperity.com. So that's great too. And it's funny how, what do we need? We need money. We need the ability to spread the word. We need volunteers. If we can get all that, I think we're golden. And essentially, we're going to be talking with our guest today. Tonight's episode is called the Alberta First Pension Plan, and my guest is Mitch Sylvestre, who's the head of the Alberta First Pension Plan. Of course, we've had guests on before with these webinars discussing the benefits of the Alberta Pension Plan. We've had Tanner Today, we've had Nadine Wellwood, we've had Trevor Toom. We've also had Nicole Kimpton and Vicky Bayford talking about the Alberta First Pension Plan meetings. But today, we'll be discussing the urgency of why we need to get an Alberta Pension Plan referendum done ASAP. So this is a live webinar, and we encourage you to ask questions and make comments throughout this presentation. Just put 3 question marks before your question or your comment so that we can see it. Don't forget to share. And with that, I will now bring on Mitch. Hello, Mitch. How are you?
Hi, Gary. Good. How are you?
Excellent. Good to see you. I'm again running this show by myself, and I always have way too many things up on the screen here. How are you doing? I know you're bouncing around the province as well, and I think you're in Calgary right now, aren't you?
I'm in Calgary right now. Yeah, we've been bouncing around the province here for about 40 days, or I have anyways. They started started before me.
Yeah.
I think I've done about 25 to 30 meetings in the last 40 days, 45 days. We've been all over everywhere. I've seen the entirety of Southern Alberta, which I hadn't seen for a long time.
I'm sure. Yeah.
We talked to lots of people.
Good. Do you want to maybe explain or tell a little bit about yourself, maybe a little bit of a bio, and tell people how you got involved in the Alberta First Pension Plan?
Well, I started, you mean how I got involved with politics or how I got involved?
You start wherever you want to start.
Well, all right. Well, let's go with how I got involved in this journey. So a long time ago, 3 or 4 years before, before COVID was starting, and as that was happening, when the Liberals got into power, we saw a great big shift in the money being spent. And Bonnyville, where I lived, actually through kind of a mini recession in 2015. I started paying attention to what was going on. We basically are in business, and we lost a lot of people. A lot of people went back home because the oil patch basically shut down there for a while, if everybody remembers. Yeah. And then I started paying attention to why that was happening. When I have a friend, and of course many friends who work in the oil patch, and all of them were moving to Texas. Mm-hmm. So we couldn't understand how come the Americans were producing more oil, and yet we were shutting ours in. At that point, I didn't know the left from the right. I had never been politically involved, so I can forgive a lot of people that aren't, even though it's getting harder and harder to forgive the further down this path we go. Yeah. And then so at that point, we started to organize groups, and that's our strength. That's been my strength, to be able to get a lot of people in a room. I organized an Alberta Prosperity meeting at one point, put a lot of people in the room, became a chapter leader with Alberta Prosperity. I was a big part in helping fire Jason Kinney. I got involved with Take Back Alberta in its early days, became a director with Take Back Alberta. And since then, I've become a UCP chair. So I'm chair of possibly, or one of the leading CAs in all of Alberta. We probably have one of the largest grassroots movements in Alberta, in Bonnyville. And you know what? We continue to do the work and continue to press on with important issues. And I really believe that since this is probably the most important issue that we could probably accomplish right now.
I agree. Yeah. And it's this whole talk about pension, again, we talk about all the pillars. I'm just going to show up the website again. We talk about taxation, pension, policing, immigration, and EI. All of those other things other than pension are all complicated. I mean, pension is still complicated, but it's something that we can do right here and right now. We don't have to bring in a brand new group in order to do policing or bring in a different structure in order to do immigration or employment insurance. We, as any province, can actually just start doing our own pension plan. And of course, there's a lot more to it than just that. And I think what I want to do, if you don't mind, I'm going to play the video that I think has kind of gone a little bit viral in the last couple of days, in which you're the star of.
Yeah, that's a stretch. Believe me, that's a stretch.
And it's great because it does give a little bit of information for people that may not know anything about the whole pension argument or basically even how we even get involved in doing a pension. So, and the urgency, which is again another thing that you stress in this video. So I'm going to play that, and I'm not sure if it'll actually take over the entire screen, but let's see where this goes with this. And because we're dealing with a new system here today, as you can probably tell, if anybody's been watching here, they can see the new graphics that are going on here. But so it's a little bit of a stretch for me. So let's just see what goes on here.
Mitch Sylvestre, head of Alberta.
We're going to pause that and start again. There we go.
Hi, I am Mitch Sylvestre, head of Alberta First Pension. We as individuals have a huge opportunity here to make a big difference. I constantly hear this from people. I am angry and I feel totally powerless to affect change. What can I do? I'm just one vote. Our Premier is providing Albertans with a unique opportunity to create meaningful change and a path to do it. But we need to make it a priority and we must do the work. We know there is a large financial advantage for every Albertan if we can move the pension plan home to Alberta. The path and the rules governing the withdrawal of a province from the CPP is clear and well defined, until now. Heather McPherson, an Alberta NDP Member of Parliament from Edmonton, is introducing legislation that will unconstitutionally change the rules around moving the Canada Pension Plan back to Alberta. This creates an emergency for us. As it currently sits, Alberta can move the pension plan back to Alberta without asking for permission from anyone. It is Alberta's right to do so. We must react immediately. No federal government wants to lose control of $335 billion, as well as the cash cow that provided this money in the first place. This will go through Parliament unless we stop it now. Albertans pay $9 billion a year to the Canada Pension Plan. Canada Pension pays Alberta seniors $6 billion a year in pension. This is normally the case. We pay more and will continue to do so because we are younger, richer, and work more hours. LifeWorks, formerly Morneau Chappelle, was commissioned by the Alberta government to write an actuarial report on moving the Canada Pension Plan home to Alberta. That report concludes that the CPP must give Alberta $335 billion should Alberta choose to leave Canada Pension. According to their numbers, our Alberta seniors could actually receive an immediate 40% increase in their pension. Based on a $750 a month pension check, which is average, Alberta pensioners could receive an annual pay raise of $3,600. That would leave the $335 billion principal to accumulate interest. According to their numbers, the CPP earns an annual 9.6% rate of return on their investment. At that rate, the $335 billion would double in 8 years to $670 billion. The fund itself would earn 10 times annually what we currently pay our seniors in pension in only 8 years. 8 years later, that fund will be at $1.3 trillion. That is security for ourselves and our kids and our grandkids. That is how big this could be. That is why Justin Trudeau wants to retain control and keep it away from us. By moving this home to Alberta, we'll have decentralized power, moved it away from Justin Trudeau and home to Alberta. What's at stake here is $3 billion a year on a one-time $335 billion transfer of your money back home to us. That's a lot. It will strengthen our province immensely. That will immediately enrich our seniors and our people. Here's the plan that will work. We need 270,000 names and addresses put into our Alberta First website, 10% of Alberta's electorate. This is a monumental task, purposely designed that way so it cannot be done. We also need to collect these signatures with witnesses within a 90-day time frame. also very difficult. The signatures will be grouped by constituency association. We will arrange town halls and or door-to-door or specific locations so that you can re-sign within the 90-day period. That is why we need to be able to contact you. That commitment from you will force our government to act. In order to win this, you must sign on our Alberta First Pension website. Get everyone you know to sign, kids, mom, dad, cousins, aunts, uncles, nieces. Then you must follow up and get others to sign and share. Sign and share, even if you've already signed, re-sign, and we will sort it out here. This will be a massive, massive win for Alberta and Albertans. We may never have the opportunity again to accomplish anything this big. In order to win, we must sign, share, and repeat, and do it now. After we gather the required signatures, we will do what is legally required to put these signatures in the hands of our premier. Thank you.
Wow, that is a lot of information within a 4.5-minute video.
Yeah, it was. It was a lot of preparation. Not gonna lie.
Where did all those numbers come from? Are those numbers freely to the public? Are they? Yeah. So
all those numbers come from that actuarial report written by Murnau Chappell or LifeWorks.
Yeah.
And those are numbers that the provincial government commissioned LifeWorks to do, and they came up with the $335 billion. Now, this is something that comes up in our meetings at a regular basis with people. Where's that number come from? Well, that number comes from the money that Alberta overcontributed year after year after year. So early in the 60s, when this pension plan was being proposed, the Premier of Ontario, I think his name was John Robarts at the time, said that they were not very sure that they wanted to be involved with Canada Pension. So he said that Ontario should, or any province, should be able to leave with the accumulated wealth that they would have accumulated on their own had they not been part of the pension plan. So that's where the $335 billion comes from.
Yeah.
So just understand also, the other thing that says, well, understand the people that did this report, and they would look at this number. Please be sure that they looked at that number over and over and over again to make sure that it was right, because that's a very big number. And they have to attach their name to that number.
Yeah.
And I have personally talked to other actuaries, and I've asked them basically, how close is this number to real? And they said, well, it's absolutely real, based on the fact that an actuarian doesn't want to make a mistake, first of all, and
that's right.
attach their name to it. And based on that fact, I've heard from pretty good sources that the federal government is actually questioning the law originally, wondering if it was reasonable. The fact that they're taking so long to give the number also gives me pause to believe that they think it's a big number as well.
Yeah.
So we're going by their numbers, and I think that reasonably that we should. There's no reason for us not to believe that that's actually the case. And the other thing is that here's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing lots of people are having a bit of a hard time grasping the size of that.
Yeah.
And from an Albertan's perspective, we can take very good care of ourselves and our seniors with very minimal effort here if we can actually get this to the finish line. And I think we can do that. As a matter of fact, I'm very positive we can do that. But people just have to understand that it is doable and we have a path. Yeah. And until they change that path, I think we should chase it down.
So with this $335 billion, do we have to wait for that $335 billion to come back to Alberta before we can actually start an Alberta pension plan, or can we start anytime?
It's a 3-year process because they're going to have to set up the infrastructure.
Okay.
So when the Premier says we're bringing Alberta Pension Plan back to Alberta, then it's going to be a 3-year process. So be aware also in that video, it's very clear that Alberta overcontributes. So that number will actually get bigger from 335. So maybe 345, maybe 355, whatever that number is. That number could get bigger coming back to us. And also understand the position that Alberta's in. Alberta right now is in debt, $100 billion, and has $25 billion in the Heritage Trust Fund. So moving an asset of this size over to our side, to our books, is going to be massive. It's bigger than we've been able to accumulate since we became a province, like far bigger. So that gives us a lot more options. It gives us a lot of things, a lot more possibilities. And the other thing it does is it takes a little bit of the power away from the feds.
Well, it takes a lot of the power away from the feds.
Mhm. And it also, people have to understand that the federal government is doing a lot of not investing of this into their projects and not into our projects. They're not investing any of that money into oil and gas.
Yeah.
A lot of that money is being invested into green projects and that kind of stuff that are kind of contrary to what we do here.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a slap in the face as far as I'm concerned, when Alberta's been over contributing for all these years and they're actually using our money against us.
Yeah. So does the Canada Pension Plan actually have $335 billion that they could give to us, like a liquid asset? I don't think they do.
Well, they say that they have $595 or so billion in a fund there.
Okay.
So they tie that money up and they do what they do with it. They invest it in different places.
Okay.
But that doesn't change the fact that they owe it.
Yes.
So, I mean, whatever they're claiming that it's there. They've been telling the world that it's there. So this will accomplish one of two things. It'll either get the $335 billion here, or will expose a fraud if the money's not there.
Wow. Yeah, that's true too. So with all these numbers that we're talking about, so we contribute $9 billion and we get back $6 billion. So basically $3 billion stays with the Canada Pension Plan Investment Board, right?
Right. Yes.
And so again, every year we over contribute that $3 billion. Have we been over contributing that $3 billion since inception, or is
almost
it
every year with a very few exceptions, maybe a couple of years? And the prognosis is for Alberta, because we're younger, we work more, of course, and we're wealthier. We pay more into Canada Pension, and that's not likely to change for a long time. It says 20 or 25 years before there's going to be any change there at all.
Yeah. So if we contribute that and we get some money back, and then that other $3 billion goes into the fund, is that money also distributed elsewhere? Like, is all the money basically used up, or is there a certain amount of money that's left for investment? Like, how does that actually work for a pension plan?
Well, I think what they do is that basically what I understand from this pension plan is a money in, money out pension plan. Mm-hmm. So basically it's almost paying itself every year. So I don't know exact numbers that Canada contributes. I know more about what Alberta contributes, but what Canada does, basically, they're saying that in 2 or 3 years, they'll be dipping into the fund because there won't be enough contributions to match, not enough revenue to match the contributions. So that's another thing that we should be worried about. And the other thing about that is we have the opportunity to set up a pension plan here that's going to make us wealthier. It's going to make our old people wealthier. Yeah. The average pension check in Canada is $750 a month. That's minimal based on how much it costs to live these days. And we have the opportunity here to make the pension plan much better. Yes. We have the opportunity here to give an instant raise to our seniors based on the numbers that are coming to us. So without having to change much, without having to change any contribution rate or anything like that.
Yeah. And I'm assuming that if we did get a hold of our pension plan money, and we'd still end up having the infrastructure, we'd still end up giving back the money to the pensioners. There would be really zero, like it would be seamless, right? For everybody that's collecting a pension or even putting into the pension, it would be seamless. They really wouldn't even know that this had happened.
That's correct. And if they move somewhere else, that's another question. It would be like Canada Pension. It would follow you around. There'd be no problem with that. It's portable. You can take it anywhere you want to go. If you move to the U.S., it would follow you there, and it would be based on how many years you worked in Alberta and how much you contributed to the Alberta Pension Plan.
Yeah, and I know for a fact that I'm originally from Manitoba, moved out here in '96, so I've definitely been here longer than I'm. I call this home because I'm now officially here longer than I was in Manitoba. And obviously I contributed my pension for a few years anyways when I was in Manitoba. And in theory, I will get a CPP from my work in Manitoba. I will also get a CPP from the work that I've done here in Alberta. And if we change over to an Alberta pension plan, then I would get an APP version with a CPP, or would it all roll into an APP? How do you know how that would work?
I would not be able to answer that for sure, but this is the way I understand it. I understand it's going to roll into APP automatically right off the bat.
Okay.
And then it'll just collect from Alberta.
And that's because the money that was donated through Alberta I hate to say that because it almost feels like that.
It almost is.
We just give it to the government. But no, we're actually putting it into our pension for the government. That money that Albertans put in comes back to Alberta. And then again, I guess the question is where is that money? The rest of the money that is in Canada's fund is Canada still going to be able to have a CPP on their own, or are they going to have to contribute it more in order to keep up with the payments back to the pensioners? Any idea on any of that?
Because we will contribute $3 billion, they're going to have to make up some of that difference, unless and they may have to increase proceeds and increase taxation to the people that are paying. But they may not. That's going to depend on how much they earn and how they use that.
Yeah.
But really, at that point, that doesn't become Alberta's concern. I'm a little bit worried that we contribute $20 billion extra to the Canadian economy every year, and that would be fine if the federal government wasn't full-time attacking Alberta and Alberta's resources and industry. Yeah. I think that our contribution to Quebec, $6 or $7 billion a year, based on the fact that they say they lose money every year, but they don't include Hydro-Quebec in their revenue. That's something that we should think about. We don't have those kinds of advantages. So the thing, and Quebec has its own pension plan as well. So there's something going on there where they want to be independent. Right. I think we should be independent because we shouldn't apologize for being richer. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And essentially when we entered in Confederation from Alberta in 1905, well before I was even thought about, I think even before my parents were thought about, my grandparents were thought about, now that I think of it that way. There's a lot of stuff that has happened since that, in terms of the money that, the East has basically said, you know what, we're gonna take control of the West. We're gonna end up getting the wealth of the West and bring it out to the East, and that's one of the big concerning factors about anything that we've talked about with APP. And it doesn't matter if it's a pension or the taxation, or if it's equalization, et cetera, et cetera. It all seems that the money is made here, not necessarily made here, but the resources of the West get pushed out to the East, and we're basically left without being as rich as we possibly could be.
But there's other factors there.
Yeah.
We work more than other people, and we shouldn't apologize for that. I know that there's cultures across Canada that people go on unemployment more than we do. I've never been on EI, and I'm sure I know a lot of people that have never been on EI. Yeah, that's not the same everywhere. Yeah. That's not our fault. We shouldn't be punished for that. We shouldn't be punished for working more. We should be punished for the fact that we're taking advantage of our resources, where Quebec apparently has as much oil and gas as Alberta, or quite a large chunk of it, and they don't want to do that. They just leave it there for later, which is their prerogative. However, they shouldn't punish us because of that. Yeah. There's things going off all across the country. We're producers here. Yeah. We work hard. That's always been an Alberta thing. We're a rich province. We produce. We work hard. We work many hours. There's lots of independent people here, and as a consequence to that, we pay more. But maybe at some point it should come back to benefit us as well, not just the people in the East. Yeah. And because we're conservatives, I'm personally a businessman. I've earned my way my whole life. Yeah. We've never depended on government. And the sad part about it is that if we look at the return that our old people are getting, I've had several meetings where I particularly remember one lady. She walked up to me and she said, I'm getting Canada Pension and whatever else comes along with that, old age and all the rest of it. Yeah. And I'm in debt $27,000 because I can't afford to live. Mm-hmm. So the first thing that crossed my mind is, if you're in debt $27,000 and you can't afford to live on your pension, how are you going to ever pay that back?
That is true.
And the whole thing is that all these people have worked their whole lives based on a system that is not really a pension plan. It's absolutely something else.
Yeah.
And you're getting such a small return for what you've put into it that we should take the opportunity to make that much better for ourselves and our seniors, and maybe make it the model for the whole country so that they could follow in our footsteps.
Yeah. I think for our viewers, if you get a chance to come out to an Alberta First Pension Plan meeting, please do so, because the speakers that they have basically giving the numbers, and you can even ask them the questions. They list them off, and it's very intelligent, and they'll say, the amount of money that's going into the CPP, and maybe they're only, and I'm kind of making this number up because I actually don't have the numbers in front of me, but let's say $30 billion goes in per year, 29 comes back out, and only $1 billion gets invested. Now, again, I don't have those exact numbers in front of me in terms of this. The speakers definitely do. But it just goes to show that it's not the entire amount of money that goes in is getting invested. And I think that is a big eye-opener for a lot of people, because if I'm investing into an RSP, as an example, you're taking that money and it's going into a little pot of money. Now, granted, it goes into, various dividend or various investments and blah, blah, blah. But essentially, that is your money. And then at the end, you end up withdrawing that money. The CPP was not designed that way. The CPP was basically designed as though the money comes in and then it goes right back out to the seniors, and only a small amount is invested. And to me, that is completely different than any other pension plan that's out there. If you look at the Ontario Teachers Pension Plan, they are probably one of the richest in Canada. And they end up getting, whatever it works out to be, $200,000, $300,000 of their money kind of put towards themselves, versus us, which we only get whatever it is, let's say 1,000 times 12 per year. So or $12,000 per year times the amount of time if you're 65 until the time that you pass away, right? So looking at those numbers, it's better if you come out to one of these meetings, because I am not an actuary, I'm not an accountant, I'm not certainly not knowledgeable enough to spew off a lot of that stuff. But I do have some charts, some graphs that if we want to get into some particular questions, if somebody does, Tanner today and Nadine Wellwood have done a fantastic job in terms of listing out a lot of the questions. We're putting them onto the website and as we speak. And I think it's important to even talk about. Let's go to the website, because in your video that we just watched previously, if you're late to watch the webinar, just go back after and you can take a look at this, the video that Mitch put together, as well as the Alberta First Pension Plan team. They tell you to basically go to the Alberta First Pension Plan website and go through, and this is the video right here that Mitch was on, and it goes through a lot of these myths, or they kind of explains how the pension is designed, what the importance of a referendum is. And this is the part that I wanted to say, is this is the event schedule. So it looks like you've got a few events coming up here, Mitch. May 27th, Monday, May 27th, you're in Edmonton. And then June 4th is in Calgary. June 13th is in Barrhead. I'm actually doing that one. I'm at the MC that one. Corey Morgan's going to be there, and Tanner today. They'll be talking more about the pension plan. And then there's another one in Olds. I know there's more and more meetings taking place, or at least being looked at and organized. Do you maybe want to tell the viewers a little bit about what goes into actually doing these meetings, and do you need donations in order to make this happen? Do you need people involved in getting halls? Like what exactly happens for that?
Okay, so all these meetings are all we go there, we set them up with the help of the people that the local people. Let me tell you a little bit about the content of the meeting. First of all, we have an expert at every meeting, so we can answer every question. And now that's not me. I had the project just because of my proximity to all the people that I can reach. Basically, get all the freedom groups together, as many as we can, to help everybody pull in one direction. And that's what I do. I also can work with the UCP and get them to help out. I have UCP boards helping organizing meetings. So that's what we're doing. So we worked a real hard stretch there for a little while. And we've decided to take a little bit of a break. And then now we're booking meetings into June. I really believe that we're going to have a really busy schedule. So the other thing is we're going to be at your area of the province. If you have any questions and you want to talk to these people live, the overwhelming reviews that we get is that 98 to 99% of these people leave the meetings understanding that this is truly a much better deal for Alberta than the other way. We've had very, very little resistance, actually, and we've also had very few people that that understood it correctly. And once they understand the facts and the numbers, it's very hard to leave the meeting and not understanding how this is absolutely necessary for us to get done for lots of reasons, for sovereign Alberta and within or without Canada. And it's also very, very important for us for the future of our kids and grandkids. So, and that's basically what we're doing, is we're moving it for the future, because 3 years from now, a lot of us are going to be older that are already pensioned. So, and I have kids that are wondering whether or not they'll ever actually have a pension. Well, this will assuredly assure them that they will have a pension, and a much better one than what we have. And so what goes into these meetings is a lot of effort. We do take donations because that's how we fund this whole project. It's all from donation money, every bit of it. And our speakers are paid. So we hire professionals to come in, and they're paid. And so we'd love to see as many people out to these meetings as we can. And the other thing that we do is we paint you a path on how we're going to win this. And that's also very important. If, I have it figured out that by the time you get $3,600 a year, it doesn't take long. If you work 10 hours and you live 10 years, that's $3,600 an hour. That's pretty good wages. And I'm guaranteeing you that's
$3,600 a year.
Probably all it's going to take for us to get over the top. If everybody that comes to those meetings does 10 hours of work, it will get done in a very, very short period of time.
Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So again, you can always go to the website here and take a look at where the next meeting will be. I'll just put that up there, albertafirstpension.ca. Other stuff, I guess, that's on there, of course, your speakers. We've got the petition instruction form. Maybe we could talk a little bit about the actual, how does the petition itself work? Do people need, to door knock? Do they need to get involved, printing a bunch of these sheets off? Like maybe let people know what's going on there.
Okay, so this is how we have it structured. We need 10% of the vote of the province of Alberta in order to make this referendum happen. So that's 270,000 signatures. Okay. So there's 87 constituency associations in Alberta. That's how the province is broken up into electoral groups. We need 3,500 people per electoral group, per constituency association to get this referendum done. What we're seeing is I've run across this before, and I've run things before. People are reluctant to sign some of these things because they're not sure where their information is going. So let me clear that up too. So we have the very best program. It's basically never been hacked. And it's used all over the place. We use Nation Builder. So your information goes into a site that we can use so that we can contact you later. The rules of this petition say that we have to collect the signatures in front of a witness in 90 days. Okay. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the names and addresses of people where we can go to get these signatures within the 90-day period. So we're going to have to get people to go door to door at that point and get the signatures. But in advance of that, we'd like to be able to have 270,000 places to go visit so that we could get the signatures, because a 90-day period is a very short period of time to get that much work done.
So it's important to note that 90 days has not started yet.
That 90 days has not started yet.
Started yet. Okay, that's good. So you're basically doing the same sort of thing as what APP wants to do is collect signatures of people that want to sign up for the independence on referendum on independence question, right?
Yeah.
But this is unlike what has happened with the Recall Gondek petition that happened in Calgary, where they basically just started and they didn't have this contact information ahead of time. So they ended up having to really try and get all the signatures and getting the awareness out within 90 days, which is really, it's almost impossible at that point. You really need to know 278,000 plus people's contact information before you even start getting wet signatures.
And this is also a double-edged sword here.
Yeah.
The NDP have realized how good a deal the federal government is trying to sabotage this, and they're trying to change the rules midstream. And that's a bit of a problem, because we had a set schedule, and we were going to go ahead and take till September to get these signatures and get that done.
Yeah.
But now they're introducing a motion into Parliament saying that they want to change the rules and make it, 7 out of 10 provinces have to agree in order for Alberta to leave. Now, before that, Alberta could leave on its own at any time that it chose. And that was the original deal with the CPP. Yeah. So now they want to change the rules. So as a consequence to that, I really believe that the federal government would like to keep the money.
Yeah.
And would not want Alberta to have that kind of measure of independence, because that changes the balance of power, of course. And the East always wanted to have the Eastern elites have always wanted to keep control of that and have the power. The last thing they wanted is to transfer power to Alberta. And this is ongoing. This is not news to anyone. Yeah. So what we need to do for sure is we have to make sure that all Albertans understand how important this is and how much we can benefit from it. Yeah. But the thing that has to happen is that people are going to have to stand up and sign this thing. Mm-hmm. And if they don't sign this, then it's not going to happen. And it's kind of like the path is there now. The path is closing off. So we have to get together. We have to stand up and sign this thing. Now, people have an angst of signing these things, but let me talk about digital data for a minute, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Here's what most people are missing. The only people that don't have your data is us. Every time you make a purchase, every time you hit you like, or every time you watch something on your cell phone, they categorize you. And whether I'm also in the sporting goods business, and we've been selling guns for 45 years. Okay. And we see that in the gun business a lot. We see people say, well, I don't want to be on a list because, when push comes to shove, they're going to come to my house and they're going to come and find me. Well, my answer to that is, if you've ever bought a hunting license, if you've ever bought a license of any kind, a fishing or hunting license, or ever had a PAL, or ever, been in a family that has PALs, I will guarantee you that they have that data. Because I remember distinctly when Stephen Harper came in and they took the gun registry out, we had a phone call the next day in the morning saying, hey, you got to keep taking this data in. And very shortly afterwards, I had a phone call from the government that said, if you continue to take this data, we're going to have you charged in the Privacy Act. So, but the point of this is that they have all kinds of data on you. The only weapon we have is your signature. Mm-hmm. And if we want to win this, and we get 270,000 signatures, or I'm hoping to get 500,000 signatures, people are going to have to stand up and sign. Or else it's going to be like forever hold your peace, because once this opportunity is gone, it's going to be gone. So at some point, if it's important to you to get an extra pension, if it's important to you for your senior parents or whoever's involved there to increase their income, this is your chance to make that happen. Yeah. And once this chance goes away, I really understand that it's not going to come back. Once they close that loophole, it's going to be closed forever. So that's where the urgency is. The urgency is twofold. The urgency is we have an opportunity now. We have a path. We have a premier that's willing to do it. Yeah. In spite of the fact that she's making us get all these signatures to do it, which on her point, if she going to call a referendum, she wants to win this referendum, as do I. But the other side of it is that it's going to take some effort from us, and it's going to take some work from us. Yeah. And if I go back to that thing that I explained to you before, every single person that gets this text, that's watching this podcast, has low-hanging fruit. Everybody has people that they can talk to easily and get signatures. They have moms and dads, they have brothers and sisters, they have adult children, they have all that happening. There isn't a person that's listening to this that can't get 10 easy signatures.
That's right.
And we're going to be sending direct contact, not something that we're just going to pick up, to hundreds of thousands of people. Now, if we get 100,000 people, everybody gets 3 signatures, we've got 300,000 signatures.
Right away. That's right.
Yeah, right away. And that's what, actually, that's exactly what I was kind of thinking was going to happen originally. Now, I've had the opportunity at my premier's dinner to have a conversation with the premier about this, and her and I are both absolutely amazed that Albertans are not jumping all over this and saying, "Hey, this is absolutely something we need to do. This is an absolute no-brainer for Alberta."
Well, I can probably tell you why people are not jumping on this.
Well, good. Please do.
Because let me show you what I found on my lawn one day. I don't know if you've seen one of these signs.
Well, not in Northern Alberta, no.
No.
Sorry, but yeah.
So I've often told people, I'll show that sign in a second again. I've often told people that I'm obviously very politically involved. I'm a member of the UCP. I'm a member of the Independence Party. I'm a member of the Wild Rose Party. And believe it or not, I'm also a member of the NDP. And the reason is because I want to know what the hell is going on, right? So I signed up to be an NDP member, paid my $10, and man, did that irk me to do that. But I did. And then they sent me a free sign. How do you compete with free? Right? So you can imagine how many supporters the NDP have out there. And they've sent out each one of these signs. So when I ran as an MLA last year, I think I had, I don't know, 1,000 signs, 1,500 signs made, lawn signs like this. And each one, I think, cost me $7 each.
Yeah, they did.
This is $7, people. This was given to me by the NDP per person. So if you've got 1,000 people in Alberta that are, or 1,000 people in even my community that are NDPers, they've just spent $7,000 on signs. That's why you see these signs out there, right? How do we compete with money that is being used that way when we are trying to do this as a grassroots movement? Has the UCP not given any money into this at all? Like, why are they not doing that?
Well, they spent $7.5 million introducing it, and the poll numbers went the other way. But I think what they did was they did a very poor job of it. First of all, nobody understands the numbers. But here's the thing: I don't think this is partisan. I think all Albertans going to benefit from this. I mean, this is not something. Why would the NDP not want Alberta seniors to have more money? What's the benefit of the NDP to not having their people being better off? Yeah. Why would the NDP consciously want to hurt Albertans in Alberta? Like, I just don't understand the logic there, and I try it really hard. But in my mind, it's an absolute solid deal. Every single Albertan is going to benefit. It's a rare opportunity for everybody to do better, and at no cost. That's true. It's not only a rare opportunity. How many times in your lifetime can you ever say, well, you can be better off for the long term, for 2 or 3 generations down the road? Yeah. It's going to pay all of our people, every single one, no matter. There's no boundaries there. There's no more UCP people getting it than NDP people getting it. It's an absolute nonpartisan.
Right. Everybody gets. Yep.
Everybody,
you're right. Yeah.
Everybody benefits. Everybody's better off. Everybody has more money to pay their bills. That's good for the economy, no matter which way you slice it.
Yeah. Other than maybe the unions or the lobbyists that want to keep the money in CPP, they're the ones that are basically saying, hands off our CPP, because that's their money.
So you have to follow the money. You have to understand why would they not want us to have the money? Yeah. Well, then what's the logic there?
Yeah. Having
not logical. Yeah. Then I think you have to start doing your own investigating. But the other thing is that these are just people.
Yeah.
These are just people. It would be like if you have 3 or 4 friends standing in a room saying, you know what, we're going to keep this money for ourselves and we're not going to give it to you.
Yeah.
And who are they? I mean, people look at them as being a big party or government, but these are just people. These are people that are trying to hurt you directly, consciously, as far as I'm concerned. The numbers are so strongly in our favor that no matter how, if you do any research at all, you'll see how much better off you could be, and how much better off your family could be and your extended family could be. And can we make the CPP better? Absolutely, no question. Without question, we can make this better.
Yeah.
And you know what? I mean, just it doesn't make sense to me that the other side doesn't want it. Yeah. And we should actually look into the fact of really why they don't want it. What are they going to do with the money if they're not going to send it here? Yeah. And traditionally, I mean, it's not a big secret that this particular group of politicians in Ottawa has one ethics violation after another ethics violation.
True. Yeah.
And just to clear that up, an ethics violation is a crime.
Yeah.
And member of parliament has never been convicted because they actually make the rules. They make the law. Yeah. So we've already established that they're criminals. So why would we want to have the criminals running the money? That's exactly opposite to what makes sense to me.
Yeah. So I'm just going to reiterate this one more time. Go to the website. Go to Alberta First Pension. I'll put that little blurb up here again. Where are we here? AlbertaFirstPension.ca. Go on the sign up now. And all you're really doing here is you're giving the contact information of yourself to the Alberta First Pension Plan group. And then once a referendum is called, then we will end up having volunteers or people knocking at your door. Maybe they won't even do that. Maybe they'll say, you know what, we're going to be at a mall this weekend. You come and sign up there, or whatever it ends up having to be. But the important thing is that we need the 270,000 plus contact information so that then we can initiate this call to action and get people's signatures within 90 days. Correct?
Correct.
Correct. There you go.
And please do. No pain, no gain here. It's
no, like that's right.
Yeah, nothing comes easy. We need the signatures. That's the key to the whole thing.
Yeah.
You know what? It's time for people to act. If they want it, it's the ball's totally in their court. So people have to decide that this is a good deal for them and their kids in their future, and decide to do it or not.
Yeah, you're right. And the other thing too is that if we haven't convinced you just in the little ramblings that we've done, again, go to a meeting, scroll down, you'll find out where the meetings are. But you can also go to the frequently asked questions and links. And I know there's a big list of frequently asked questions that are coming up. You can print off a sheet here and talk amongst yourselves, talk amongst your friends and family. You can even print off a bunch of these and stuff them in mailboxes if you want to. Do whatever it takes in order to get the word out about the benefits of an Alberta pension plan. And there are so many links. And so if people say, show me the proof, proof is in the pudding. Well, here's the pudding. Here's all the links that you possibly need to know about the CPP, what's going on. The CPP Investment Board, of course, was here in April. They were in Calgary and Edmonton, and they say they come out every 2 years. When was the last time you ever really paid attention to know if the CPP was actually coming into your province? Probably never, because I never did. But they did come and they made a report, and that report is even on the CPP Investment Board, or that statement, I guess, is even on the CPP Investment Board website. There's lots of videos on here. Again, the majority are definitely the Alberta Prosperity Project, which, Alberta Prosperity Project is not partnering with you guys, but we're definitely supporting, right? Because we realize that this is one of the pillars that we're standing up for in terms of independence, and it only makes sense that APP would be involved in this. So that's why we've been doing these videos and these webinars as well. Also on the website, there's a bit of a case study, and again, more information, more articles, more stuff that you possibly could even want to know more about the CPP and the benefits of an APP, and amazing. And of course, there's also a click to donate. If you feel so inclined, maybe you can't volunteer, but you feel like you can, you like what we're doing, and you want to donate $5 to it, just click on the donate, and Bob's your uncle. That's kind of the important thing dealing with the website. Anything else that you want to talk about, Mitch? I know there's some questions, so maybe let's go back to some of these questions here. Debbie asks, have you seen those signs that say hands off the CPP that are in people's yards? No, I've never seen them. Haven't seen them at all. No, I don't know what you're talking about. So next question. Thanks, Debbie. Oh, here's an interesting one. And I like these comments too. Eric says, you guys accept a solar company sponsorship but actively cheer when green energy options are shut down. So our sponsor is a solar energy company. And again, they're not doing massive solar farms. They're not involved in wind or anything like that. They're basically helping the individual homeowner. And I will certainly trumpet at that. If it makes sense to go ahead and put solar panels on your home to offset the cost of your own energy use, then do that. Absolutely. So again, blah, 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 blah. I just want to do another little pitch for them. There they are. There's our sponsor, Solve Energy. Go to solveenergy.ca, info@solveenergy.ca. So thanks, Eric. Thanks for bringing that up. Let's see what else we've got here. Oh, yes. Wendy asks, Carrie, what is the age for kids to sign? So the requirements, do you want to answer this one, Mitch?
Well, as far as I've heard two things. I've heard that over 14
over 14 and over.
Over 14 can sign this petition.
Yeah.
But the only question I have is that you need to be a voting age to vote in the referendum. So I would probably suggest that we restrict it to 18-year-olds. But if it's 14 and over, we'll get the information out on this website. We'll definitely look into that.
And I do believe it's 14 because when you're 14, you can be part of a political party, right? And I believe that is the where that 14 came from. And you're right. If it comes down to a referendum, if it's a specific referendum question, that is an interesting comment to say whether or not they have to be 18 in order to do the referendum, as far as I know, because you're voting, right? But in terms of actually getting a signature,
as far as I know, it's 14.
Okay, well, there you go. Here's another question. Eric asks, how can you guarantee that Alberta will get basically 53% of the CPP, the 335?
Because that's the way it was set up in the first place. That's the way it was built. That's the law. Yeah. That was the way it was written up. It was written up. I referred to it earlier. That if Alberta had its own pension plan and set it up on its own, the overcontribution that we give is 53% of that plan plus the money that's earned after being invested. That is exactly the way it's set up, and that's the big problem. The big problem is Alberta is an overcontributor, so it just goes to show you how much Alberta contributes more than anywhere else. Alberta is a net giver, not a net taker. So we cannot guarantee that they'll give us 53%, but it will go to court if that's the case. But even if it doesn't, just say, for example, we get $200 billion.
Yeah.
$200 billion is still a massive amount of money.
Yeah.
$200 billion will be $400 billion in 8 years. And if you double that, that's $800 billion in 16 years. And even at $400 billion, that's still $40 billion a year in interest that this thing is generating after 8 years, which is half of the entire budget for the province of Alberta right now. Yeah. So you have to understand that this is a huge amount of money. Even the lowest number we've ever heard, and that was hired out to somebody by the federal government, is 125 or 130 billion dollars, and that's the absolute lowest number we've ever heard. And I'm going to assume that they wanted to see a lower number out there so that they could negotiate the real number down. Yeah. So that's just smart business. But as far as I'm concerned, again, that actuarial report, those guys looked at those numbers. Yeah. Those guys knew what would happen when they said Alberta would get $335 billion. And the fact that Morneau Chappelle, Bill Morneau, was the finance minister for the Liberal government, for the government of Canada for years, he looked at that number as well.
That's right.
So just understand that number is very close.
Yeah. And I know Tanner's done an excellent job. I'm actually looking at the document. I'm not going to read it out verbatim because it's really long. That will end up getting posted on the Alberta First Pension Plan site under the frequently asked questions. But it does state what is the calculation. And basically, it's Alberta's total CPP contributions plus Alberta's share of CPP investment income. So you have that pool of money minus the lifetime benefits paid out to Albertans, minus Alberta's share of CPP operating costs, and that's the final number, which is the $335 billion. That's
you can tell Eric that report, that actuarial report, is on our website.
Yes,
you can actually read it there. Yeah. Okay. It's actually there, and you would benefit greatly by reading that report. Yeah. Actually, it's a little bit dry, but there's a lot of places in there where it shows how much of a benefit this is going to be for Alberta.
Excellent. Good. So Eric, go to the Alberta First Pension Alberta First Pension.ca. Ray asked, I don't trust the government. So how do we know we'll ever get the money they owe us?
Well, again, that's law. So they would have to owe it to us. Yeah. They printed $445 billion for COVID. Yeah. They could probably print $335 billion to send to Alberta. I mean, right. Yeah. They print money without any backing. So just saying, and they could also do that for the shortfall if that was it would increase inflation. That doesn't seem to be a problem though. So just saying, the money's there. Apparently, the money's supposed to be there. Yeah. So if the money's actually there, like it's supposed to be, then they would be obligated to send it.
Yeah. Christina asked, will this include CPP disability for those on that?
I believe it will. Yes.
I think the money, the entire fund that we've given in will come back to us, and then Alberta, or whatever it ends up being, some sort of an investment board will end up doing exactly. Again, it's apples to apples, right? Like,
right. So the fund has to be equal.
Yeah,
the fund has to be equal to what
that is ridiculously bad or completely different, because the federal government will say, no, that's not the same. It's got to be the same.
It's got to be at least equal. So it's got to be all the benefits that you're getting now, you're going to get when we get the Alberta Pension Plan, plus we have an opportunity to improve on it.
Yeah. So Eric asked one more question here. What happens to the economies of the other provinces whose contribution rates will undoubtedly go up if Alberta takes their percent of the pot? How will that give them a chance to get back out of the CPP if they felt so inclined?
Well, the formula is there. Any province could back out.
Yeah.
Like that's a choice that they will have to make. Yeah. Their contribution rates apparently will go up maybe 4 to 5%.
Yeah.
So I'm an employer. I contribute half of all of my employees.
That's right.
As well as my own. So I'm actually thinking this plan. I did my own calculation. I paid $330,000 into CPP myself.
Yeah.
I started collecting at 65 years old. So say I collect $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
At $12,000 a year, it takes 25 years just to get my investment out. Never mind my investment plus interest.
Yeah.
So the CPP is a very weak pension fund, to say the least. We can do better.
Yeah. So I'm going back through some of the other questions here. Leanne asks, what's the number of signature commitments submitted thus far?
We totally have probably in excess of 20,000 signatures.
So 20,000. So 1/10 of, roughly what we need.
And our hope is this. We have 20,000 signatures. So the way I look at this is that we can reach out to these people and ask them to sign 4 or 5 people, and then we're halfway there, and then do it again. So, but the rest of the idea here is to get this in front of as many people as we can get it in front of, so that people understand what's actually happening, so people can make a conscious decision on their own of what they think is the best. We really believe that once they understand what's going on, they will decide to go for the Alberta Pension Plan.
And then a question I think we've answered before, but Debbie asks, if you are receiving CPP now and we create an APP, will we then be getting our pension from APP?
Yes, correct.
Yes. Because again, the money is
It'll just switch over.
CPP. It ends up coming over to Alberta, and then it's up to Alberta to distribute the pension plan.
So the difference will be there'll be a APP on top of the check instead of CPP.
There you go. So otherwise, everything should be seamless.
Seamless.
Other than it will take us 3 years in order to get the infrastructure in order to do this.
And I'm just going to share something. An actual point of contention is, the government is actually worried that people are going to come from all over Canada to Alberta because of the difference in the Alberta Pension Plan.
That was a question.
I had that discussion. That is an actual real point of discussion. And I'm going to share something else. The Premier said that she would give every senior a $10,000 one-time check if the CPP came over to Alberta. Now, surprisingly enough, I thought that would be very well received. But people are scared to take it. Every time we presented that at a meeting, which is 2 or 3 times, people are afraid to take that money. That's something that she said she would do. That would cost $6 billion to do that. But we've structured it so that we say they would get an extra $3,600 a year based on using the $3 billion surplus to actually flip it back and give it to our seniors. So that could be one way or the other. But the point of it is that Alberta seniors will be better off instantly. And that's what I want everybody to understand, that we're not going to take your pension. You're not going to lose any money here. You're going to be better off, and it's going to be right away. So after the 3-year part. So after we get it. But we have to get it here first.
Okay. So that seems to be it for the questions so far. Again, if you've got more questions, how do they get a hold of you? Do they just go to the albertafirstpension.ca and fill out the contact form? Is there an email, etc.?
I think that would be the best. I think you go to Alberta First Pension.
Yeah.
But the other thing is that if you have a large group of people and you want us to come to your area, you can absolutely, we'll absolutely have a meeting for you.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no question about that. Get in touch with us, and we will be happy to come to your area. We'll be going back all over the province. We're going to make a very conscious effort to hit every area of the province. We're going to be in Central Alberta. We're going to be in South. We're going to be in Calgary. We're going to be in Edmonton. We're going to be Northeast, Northwest.
Yeah.
We're going to be in every area within an hour's drive of where you are, I hope. So please pay attention to that. Reach out to us and find out when these meetings are going to be. Lots of these meetings that we have that are not quite yet finally arranged are going to be put on the website soon. And we're going to be going out in a big way in June and early July.
Excellent.
And we're going to be at big events too. We're planning to be at the Calgary Stampede. We're going to plan to be, in farmers markets and all kinds of places like that if you want to have a conversation. And if you just want to have a conversation, well, get in touch with us, and we'll talk to you about it.
Amazing. There you go. So if you need to get a hold of them, go to the Alberta First Pension.ca site. There's a contact form. You can do that. I believe there's also the email is albertafirstpension@gmail.com. I shall put that in the comments as well. pension.at@gmail.com. As you can tell, this is live. There you go. There you go. So I just put it in the comments, and you can always go to that and send some questions in, and hopefully we'll be able to get a reply back. Anything else that you want to say as final words there, Mitch?
No. So thank you all for signing up in advance.
Awesome.
Please do help us out. We can do this, and you know what? I don't think we have to take as long as what we're taking to get it done. Let's just focus on it for the next couple months and get it over the finish line, and then we'll get the ball rolling on getting this referendum.
Marilyn asked a good question. Just to clarify, with the registration on the site, we register on the site with the name. So you end up clicking on here and you sign up now, right? And then, but the second part of that question is, when the 90-day period starts, then we can print out the form and get signatures? Sorry.
Okay, so when the 90-day period starts, we're going to have organized door knockers to go and reach out and get to you.
Okay.
So because we're going to have to do it because they disqualified like 90% of the signatures in the Gondak.
Yes, they did. Yes, exactly.
So we don't want to have anything to do with that. We want to have professional people or people that know what they're doing, people that have campaigns, door knocking campaigns that understand exactly what needs to happen. Yep. So it needs to be flawless. So that's the second part of this. We got to gather the names, and then we're going to go door to door, and we'll get signatures.
So this form that people can download, should they download it? I think that's the question, is if we're waiting for the 90 days and all we want is the contact information, do they actually have to download this form at all yet, or just
not if they sign on the first?
Not if they signed up for it. Okay.
Not if they signed up for it. If they signed up for it, my biggest worry would be, not my biggest worry, my biggest hope is that I hope you sign this and get the people that you know to sign it as well, and get everybody to share it to the people that they know, so they can share it as well. That's the only way this is really going to get done. Because if you break 270,000 people down by meetings, it's going to take a lot of meetings.
Yeah.
Even if we get 300-400 people at a meeting.
Yeah. Rhonda asks, how many provinces don't cover enough for their pensioners?
That's a question. I cannot answer that. I don't know that.
I know Alberta over contributes, and who else would probably over contribute?
Maybe Ontario.
Yeah.
Maybe Ontario. Quebec has their own. Yeah. I think the maritime provinces would be people that would collect more than they put in. Okay. But I'm not sure that.
Manitoba collects, and again, I'm kind of making that part up only because I'm thinking of it in terms of the equalization payments, right? Because for sure Manitoba doesn't have enough that they're what they call a have-not province, and I mean that only because I'm from Alberta, or from Manitoba initially. They just don't have the strength and resources that Alberta does, so they need a little bit of help from the federal government. But again, that's an equalization payment. That's not a pension plan payment. So that's not a CPP thing. So again, those were excellent questions, and you can always ask those to the speakers at one of our meetings. So thanks again, Rhonda. So with that, I think again, thanks, Mitch. That was great. I'm so glad you were able to join us and shed your experience and what's actually going on with the Alberta First Pension, and what's happening with the pension plan going forward. And we've at least got a little bit of a timeline. We're looking at it over the next few months. And so when do you think the 90 days would be called? Let's say we're currently on this path going forward, and we eventually will hit 270 or 300,000. When do you think the 90 days would be? Just, you can look at your magical crystal ball if you
like a month. The original target was September 1.
September, okay.
Yeah, it was the original target would be September 1.
Okay. And you think you're still on target for that?
Oh, I hope so. I really think that we're going to probably have to. Well, we're going to decide whether we're going to do that door knocking campaign one way or the other. If we get halfway there, I really believe strongly that once people understand this, and if we go door to door, we'll get the signatures anyway. Yeah. We just thought that the plan is fluid. It depends on how people receive it. If we don't get, we're not seeing any negative. So yeah. If we see things that way, and most Albertans seem to agree that this is a good thing, then I think we'll be very confident in going door to door.
Okay, excellent. Well, then that's all we can possibly do right now. So the important thing is share. Don't forget, share everywhere. Share this live. If you've watched this, maybe you're watching it a week from now, still share it. Just put it on your Facebook, put it on your Instagram, put it on Twitter, wherever it is. It'll definitely be up on the Alberta Prosperity Project, wherever we're posted on in terms of the video, also on the Chris and Carrie Show. And I'll be posting that later on tonight. And then that goes out to an even further group of people. I know Mitch's video so far has had over 50,000 views, and I'm expecting it to be 100,000 probably by the weekend. Probably 200,000, if not more, by next week sometime. So that is a lot of views, and if we only get 10% of those people signing up, that is an amazing number. But I would like to get 100% of those people signing up. So
yeah, me too.
Yes. Awesome. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm good. If you have a question, thank you very much for having me. Perfect.
You are quite welcome. Thank you, Mitch. I'll send you on your way, and I'll get. I've got a couple little quick announcements that I want to make to everybody. So thanks again, Mitch. And,
thank you. Take care.
Thank you. Once again, Mitch Sylvestre he's the head of the Alberta First Pension Plan group, and great guy, really knowledgeable. And of course, thank you so much for coming out and watching these videos faithfully every Wednesday, whether or not we're doing a replay. I even look at the numbers on the replays, and they are amazing, because again, everything that we've been talking about has been relevant since day one. And even though some of the replays that we showed were a year ago, they're still relevant. And we do these weekly webinars every Wednesday. And of course, we're actually, during the summer, we usually take a couple of breaks, but I've got so many speakers lined up that we may not take a break during the summer. It'll be one of those summers for me where I don't take a vacation. Next Wednesday, May 29th, we'll have Sharon Polsky, who's president of the Privacy and Access Council of Canada. And if you remember, we had her on a webinar in October, and you can always go back and check that out. Well, she sent me a message about a month ago, and she's going to be talking about the bills that are going through Parliament. Almost, we know about the bills, but they're just kind of being forced through, and that's our democracy happening in action, people. So it's important to actually talk about what's going on. The bills that are going through that she wants to talk about in particular are C63, and they always come up with these arbitrary numbers that mean nothing to anybody unless they actually know what they're talking about. That's the Online Harms Act, and that is also riding on the coattails of another one, that's C367. See, another arbitrary number, which is the act to amend the criminal code for promotion of hatred or anti-Semitism. So even the fact that we're talking about what we can do is independence in Alberta, in theory, would be part of those two acts. So you want to be censored? I don't want to be censored. So make sure that you should join us for next Wednesday when Sharon Polsky will be on here. We're always asking for volunteers if you're able to volunteer, and please get a hold of us at contact@albertaprosperity.com. And the last thing I want to show, one more thing, and I haven't even set it up yet, so I'm going to make sure that it does work out here. There you go. This is totally for me. I want to congratulate my daughter, Kiana Lambert, who just received her doctorate of optometry. She makes me proud. So I just wanted to show that to everybody. And so I do have a life other than doing these webinars. So Kiana, this one's for you. Thank you so much. You guys are all amazing. You guys have a great rest of your week, and I will see you guys next Wednesday. Ta-ta for now.